Yeah, but then. All we got is two people. Okay, let's, now we're close enough. Let's convene the Planning Commission meeting for July 2nd. Oh, okay, one or the other. Planning Committee meeting for July 2nd, 2014. Is it 6 o'clock yet? We're official. All right. Public comment. We'll open public comment. Members of the public, that's you two. We don't count him. Wishing to speak on any item not on tonight's agenda may speak. Going once, going twice. Public comments closed. Approval of the minutes for June 4th. Any additions, corrections? Okay.
Second.
Motion Mitchoff, second Romick, third Abelson, fourth Hudson. 4-0. Consent calendar 1 through 7. Move Mitchoff, second Abelson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none. We're on to 8. 8, 9, and 10 are Martin staff. All of them, CMA functions, they're all action items. Let's start with 8, the approval of the release, the draft 2014 Countywide Transportation Plan for public review. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Martin Engelman, Deputy Executive Director for Planning at the Contra Costa Transportation Authority, and I'm here this evening to present to you a first run of the PowerPoint we developed for approval to release the draft of the 2014 CTP update. As you know, the 2014 CTP update is well underway, and we're hoping that tonight you will take action to forward this to the authority, and the authority in turn will release the draft update for publication in late July, early August, and then we'll have a review period and we'll finalize the document probably by the end of 2014. This is the first time we're presenting the 2014 CTP, so please bear with me. At the close, feel free to give us your comments on any part of the PowerPoint you liked or didn't like. And we're going to keep on evolving this PowerPoint for different audiences. Tonight the audience is you. We'll have the authority next time. Then we'll have all the RTPCs. We'll have a somewhat different PowerPoint presentation for the NGOs and the other public committees out there, other committees out there that have either enough information already or need more information. So we'll tailor this PowerPoint to the audience. So first question someone might ask is, why are we doing this? Why create a CTP? And the fact is we don't have much choice. Measure J requires it as part of the multi-jurisdictional cooperative planning process established in the Growth Management Program. And it also provides an opportunity for us to give input to MTC's Regional Transportation Plan. State statutes allow counties and the congestion management agencies to prepare a countywide transportation plan and also require that MTC incorporate those components that are consistent with regional agency policies into their RTP. This is the 5th CTP. The last one was in 2009. So what's happened since 2009? If we look at our accomplishments, we've completed the 4th bore of the Caldecott Tunnel. We've widened Highway 4 out to Summersville Road. We're working on the BART extensions, new BART parking, HOV lanes, auxiliary lanes on 680, and the Martinez Intermodal Transit Center. But there's a lot more to do, and we face a lot of challenges when we look out to the next 30 years. This plan goes out to 2040, and when we look out to the next to the 2040 time horizon, by 2040 we expect to add nearly 300,000 new people, nearly 90,000 new homes, 140,000 new employed residents, and they'll all want to get from their homes to their jobs. We'll also be increasing the number of jobs by 26%.
Wanted input? Can you go back?
Well,
okay.
Can we do it at the end?
Sure. Well, how many slides do we have?
It'll be over before you know it.
Okay, fine.
Don't forget.
I won't.
So with regard to jobs, the forecasts indicate 125,000 new jobs in Contra Costa by 2040. Consequently, traffic is going to increase. Traffic increases by 10 to 74%, and it won't necessarily be spread evenly throughout the county, so the plan really looks at where the traffic is going to increase, and in some places it increases more than others. The 74% is actually between Central County and East County on the Highway 4 corridor, so we're expecting big traffic growth there. We're also facing the challenge of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions to comply with AB 32 and SB 375. According to Executive Order S305, by the year 2050, emissions must be reduced to 20% of 1990 emissions. We're already taking action to face these challenges. Just in the past couple of years, we've been preparing this new 2014 CTP, and as we're doing that, the authority is working on a number of fronts to meet the challenges ahead. We're implementing sustainable communities, encouraging bicycling and walking. We're growing our priority development areas. We've identified priority development areas throughout the county, and we're focusing in on these so-called PDAs to provide areas where housing can grow near transit. We're supporting clean technologies, building electric charging station, encouraging use of alternative fuels such as the fuel cell technology, liquid hydrogen. And we've, of course, been constructing projects, as I mentioned. The Caldecott Tunnel alone eliminated 3,850 hours of delay every day. And if you add that up over a year, it amounts to 160 years of delay eliminated, which is the equivalent of 2 lifetimes. Funding programs, we're continuing to fund programs such as our real-time ride-sharing program, the Karma real-time ride-sharing program, and we're still looking at what more we can do to prepare for the future. So we're kind of at the beginning of a new age in travel. As the system becomes built out, we need to focus more on operations and maintenance, getting the most out of the infrastructure we have, and using new technology. So in the future, we'll see more electric cars. We may even see autonomous vehicles, new innovations, bus rapid transit, and we want to take the best advantage of all of those. So how does the CTP fit into all this? What is the CTP? Let's talk about that for a moment. How do we build it? The CTP starts with all the local jurisdictions, our 19 cities and towns and the county, working on developing what we call action plans for routes of regional significance. And those, you've all been involved in those. Those go into a draft CTP. We're doing we're doing an SEIR, a supplemental EIR on the draft CTP. We're going to send that out to the public at the end of July, and during August and September, we'll have an extensive public review outreach process. We'll introduce a web-based engagement tool, and then we'll go to the final CTP in December, and the RTPCs can come back and adopt their final action plans. This is what's inside the CTP. Volume 1 is essentially the heart of the document, where we have the visions, goals, and strategies. We talk about the transportation system, cooperative planning, and implementation tasks. Volume 2 is the compendium of the 5 action plans, West, Central, East, Lomond, and Tri-Valley. And Volume 3 is what we call the CTPL, the Comprehensive Transportation Project List. These all feed into one another from left to right, and that the action plans are where people think about, or where the regional committees think about projects that they want to build, and that feeds into a comprehensive project list. So any project that you've come up with in the past year and a half at your regional committee level, where you believe that project is worth studying further, provided we have a cost and a project sponsor, it goes into the CTPL. So what have we learned so far? If we add up all of the projects in the CTPL, arterial roadways, bicycle, pedestrian, transit, freeway, intermodal, we have $11.6 billion in projects that we want to construct over the next 40 years. If we look at programs, The programs, in addition to the $11 billion in projects, amount to $14.4 billion in programs. So that's almost $25 billion in projects and programs over the next 30 years that we want to construct. The total cost of all this, all the projects now, is $11 billion. And if we look at available revenues under Measure J and the Regional Transportation Plan, the currently adopted RTP, we only have $4.7 billion. So there's a shortfall here of about $7 billion. And we're going to start to work on that in calendar year 2015 when we start putting together a transportation expenditure plan and see what kind of funding sources we can find to close that gap. But for now, when we go out with this CTP, we're going to ask the question, did we miss anything? Have we gotten all the projects that we want, and have we covered all the projects that we want? And one of the ways we're going to do that is with this online participation tool. We have a number of upcoming community meetings as well, and we're going to meet with other public forums. But the online participation tool is going to ask the public, so they don't have to come to a workshop, but they can remotely log in and tell us what kind of projects are they looking for, and we will keep a log of all those suggestions and work those through and include those suggestions as appropriate into the final CTP. As far as the schedule is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, we're releasing at the end of July. Review period is August and September. Close of comments is September. We'll take October to compile the comments and bring them back to the RTPCs if there are comments on the action plans. November would be the time for developing the final plan, and we have to have that done before Thanksgiving to get it into your PC packet for December, and then we would adopt the plan at the end of the year. So thank you very much for your attention. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have and take any comments you may have.
Back to population, Karen.
Can you go back to the beginning where the graphs were? The first one was the blue graph. Back. Okay. I'm wondering if perhaps we should have just one bar graph for total of the county, and then maybe in a different color, and break it down. Just, you were saying for comments, and the same with the next one, the green one on jobs. And then the next one.
You mean the county, not separate and apart from the region,
The
the entire county, yeah.
Although I know you've got Tri-Valley in there, and you've got Tri-Valley Alameda, and that's fine, so that can be separate. But I'm just thinking total for Contra Costa, so everybody gets it. And then the next one is, I would not put 10-74% increase. I would just put an increase by 2014. I don't know. When I saw that, I just went, ah! Now, if you want people to go, ah, that's fine. But I just think Contra Costa County traffic will obviously, or some other word, increase by 2040, because in the next one you go in, and I think that next slide with the map and the graph is that gets the message, that one. That's really a cool graphic, but I'm just not sure we want to put between 10 and 74%. I'll leave it to my colleagues, but it just seems, if you see that first and then you're going, oh my gosh, what does that mean? This is much more effective. So I'll leave it to you. Maybe you all thought it was.
Let me pull them while it's hot on the press. Karen, David?
I guess my question would be, why is the number there? It's useless. It's like, it's as useful as saying that we've got
1 to 99?
a 50% chance of a magnitude 7 earthquake in the next 100 years. Wow, great. What do we do with that? Literally, how did we come up with the number, and why is it there? What's the purpose?
10-15% increase, that would be something, but 10 to 74?
Okay. Pleasant Hill, calm down over there. Kevin?
No, I agree. We don't need it.
Ditto. All right. Unless you can come up with 11 to 73 or something like that.
The number will be eliminated.
Okay. Anything else? I thought it was good. I liked it.
On that or
Yeah.
anything else?
Anything else? We're on a different one now.
And that came up at the ad hoc committee that I brought it up, and I just wanted to I think this would be the time to bring it up, and that is on the public outreach. I have gone to many public outreach meetings, particularly in my area, and what I've observed happen time and time again is that whatever city you happen to be having it in, the people will primarily come from there, and there won't be very many of them even then. So what occurred to me, and we discussed it some, and we discussed some of the problems with it, that maybe we could combine it with a council meeting in each of the jurisdictions and the Board of Supervisors if they were interested, and maybe this whole thing would be if the jurisdictions were interested. And the way I think my thinking, and from what I'm hearing from others is about it now, is there could be a online, if online is the right word, a recorded presentation presented so that everybody would see the same presentation without somebody having to give it 20 times, and that there could maybe be somebody there to answer questions. I think that would actually accomplish all of the goals. Randy suggested that it wouldn't always have to be the same person doing it, so in fact that's how we would get around the 2-month public hearing process. So anyway, I'm interested in that because I am so tired of going to these public hearings where no one is coming and we're not really accomplishing anything.
Okay.
That's it.
Karen?
And I appreciate with the ad hoc, they had their conversation, but Janet was bringing this up prior to the meeting, and she and I were discussing it. We did not violate the Brown Act. I don't think we need one in each jurisdiction. That's just, as I mentioned to Janet, my concern is some cities, they've got busy enough agendas. I mean, it's a great idea, but because we have all these other tools for public outreach, I really think maybe no more than 3, East, West, and Central, and you can have the Central one, Walnut Creek, Danville, because that will pull from both. I just am concerned about the resources, staff resources, doing this in that period of time. And again, as Janet pointed out, the community is engaged, but we're doing an online tool. There's a lot of other ways. I just don't, I don't think we need one in each jurisdiction.
Let me make a suggestion if I can. Let's bifurcate how we're going to do the outreach with releasing this CTP, which I don't hear any arguments against other than changes. And I'm not sure, so I'm going to defer to Kevin and Randy how you'd like to approach this, because I think Janet's on to something. I just don't have an answer. I know that I'm online. I know that the Air District does this, where you explain, spare the air, et cetera. Now, is it enough, or do you increase that by doing something else? And that's what I'm hearing here. And I said, okay, we dump this one on because we just happen to have him here, the chair and the executive director, and how we will pursue the outreach part of it. Because I don't want to say it's mine, but planning when it could be APC or it could be
I
an ad
agree.
hoc.
I guess my question would be, what did we do last time in 2009? Was there any concern? Sorry, that's me.
Some of these lights.
In 2000,
Well,
what did we do in 2009, and was there criticism that it wasn't enough?
Well, the good news, Commissioners, I wasn't here in 2009, so I can't answer that question. How did it go in 2009?
Well, in 2009, we used the regional transportation committees as a channel. We went to all the RTPCs, and they discussed it extensively. We went to the local jurisdictions if we were invited. We gave them the opportunity, but if they felt that it was covered at the RTPCs, we left them, do it through their RTPC rep, and then that RTPC rep would report to the individual councils We offered workshops in the 4 areas. 2009 was kind of a light workshop year in that we only did 1 workshop in West County. And there have been past years where we did more. And we've done them in all 4. We've done 3. We've done 1 central one. Since this is leading up to the TIP, we're thinking we're going to have probably 3 workshops around the county, possibly 4. And we'll also discuss that with the RTPCs as well.
But let me stay with the same recommendation before your comments, that we look to allow the authority to,
I'll move the approval of the release of the draft for the authority to consider, or move this on to the
Okay.
authority.
So,
no, I'm going to add something from
Okay.
you if I get a second. Okay, motion from Mitchoff, second from Durant, the power play from Pleasant Hill. I think that where Janet has gone with this, we could probably start with the changes from the committee with comments down at the bottom like we normally do. There is concern about the outreach and how the policy will go forth from here. Go ahead.
Commissioners, we're aware of the comment. We're aware of the concerns about the effectiveness of doing these outreaches. And we're also, don't want to call it the 2015 plan. So as you extend this plan out, you're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
So the idea is that when the initial schedule showed these outreach or these open houses in 4 separate weeks in 4 different locations. And what I've asked Lindsay to do is look at advancing them and then see what kind of participation we get up front and determine whether or not we need to do more outreach. And then when the cities, after meeting with the RTPCs, if a city wants a specialized a presentation, be happy to go there and give it.
Durant?
Yeah, I was just, I think that's exactly the right answer. You do schedule 3 the way that Karen talked about it. You make available to any city or pair of cities that wants to do it in combination the opportunity, but without sliding the date and recognizing that there are staff resource constraints, and that in a certain sense you risk diluting the pool of people who are going to be engaged in doing it that way. But I still think you'll do better if you just limit the number and give folks an opportunity if they really feel that their community is unique or special enough, or that there's a really, really good reason for that.
Okay, Janet?
first of all, if I'm not mistaken, it's the last time 4 years ago that I'm thinking about when I mention the very big lack of public participation. I believe that was the one where there were approximately 3 people there. There was a huge number of staff members there, but there were maybe 3 people, and they were all from the local community. That is kind of why I'm saying that. I think, and the other part of it is I find the online tool that could be created, that could be used over and over again, actually an intriguing idea. And Lindsay further mentioned that she wanted to know if I mentioned that we have a recording studio in our city council chambers, and she wanted to know if we had a green screen, and I don't know if we do or don't because I don't know enough about it, but it might be intriguing to do that as a way of looking at a new way of doing things. So that would be interesting. So there's kind of multiple aspects. I have no interest in making this the 2015 plan. That was not part of what I was thinking. I could see a compromise solution being, I really am, first of all, interested in this online tool that could be developed. I think that would be worth pursuing almost independently, but as part of this, if that could be developed, and just see how it works for one thing. See if there's a way, anyway, to figure out how many people are really using that tool. Is there a way to identify that? Can we take counts?
Okay. What's happening is we're starting to go after it before we have it in front of us. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying we've got a motion and a second with the comment that this outreach needs further investigation with all the comments, Jen, because I know we've done it twice, and allow Randy to come back with this well, all of his Cron interviews or whatever, and we'll put in a tape, because we've just passed it up to the big meeting, and the big guy's here from the big meeting, so he knows that he's not going to get out of this item if he doesn't have an answer that gets past JA. So you know what you got covered up, and let's stay with exactly what we've got here. We need to release this thing before we put the outreach. Are we good with that?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Turn off your light. You got that? The motion was staff recommendation. We're on to 9. We've seen this 15 trillion times. You want to hear Martin give another staff report, or anybody have any questions about it? Okay, I have a
Mr. Chair.
motion, Mitchoff, second Durant. I learned this from Haggerty. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I read this, and I have no problem with it. I wanted to be real clear with the public that it looks like we're tripling a contract amount, that we all know the reason for why we did this. So I appreciate in the staff report that it really spells out why this is a procedural kind of contract. But if you get any questions about it, I
Yeah.
think I'm just very aware that it's tripling a contract. Now, I think we all knew that we weren't going to be finished at 600,000, but I know Lindsay's not here, and I know she'll handle it appropriately. But if there are any concerns, I guess I would like the minutes to reflect that the PC did recognize that there was a process and a reason, and this is just the continuation of work product that we knew needed to happen because we've taken actions and then reviewed it and made decisions, and now we're taking further actions. So with that, I will make the motion.
See, you got to be quicker than that. We have a motion from Mitchoff, second from Abelson. A comment down on the corner.
A minor question. Do we think once we're done with the 1.8 million, we're done, or is there an anticipated amendment 2 with a dollar number attached to it?
I can answer that when the pitch was one time.
That's what I thought, just making sure.
So there's nods down there. We're not asking them, we're telling them. It's one thing, because when Julie gets here, she will too.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Opposed?
Aye. I'm an aye, not an opposed.
Oh,
I was calling your
Mr.
attention
Chairman,
to the fact that Mr.
thank you.
Engelman had a
The,
comment.
the amendment is through fiscal year 14-15,
cool.
and it could carry us beyond fiscal year 15, but we then have to get to November 2016. We have all of 15-16 as well. So this, staff was directed to include it in the budget
Okay.
for 14-15. We've done that, and this amendments gets us through this, and the next one as well gets us through the next fiscal year.
Okay. Is that what you're asking? Go ahead.
Now I'm more confused than I was before I asked the question. So what I heard you say was 1.8 will now get us through 14-15,
That's
and
correct.
there was a ... through November 2016. And my question was, what is the anticipated all-in cost?
That's correct. Mr. Bill Gray is here, and maybe he could comment on that.
Thank you. Bill Gray with Gray Bowen. It's not an easy question to answer. We've actually laid out the projection of cost. There is a cost for the following fiscal year if you continue on the road towards a November 16 ballot measure. A biggest part of this, about 60% of this increase, is communications and outreach, which is the subject you were just talking about before. Depending on how effective or not effective, if we have 3 people show up after this extensive outreach, we're probably going to modify the approach and reduce it. So I think right now, though, we have laid out, I don't have the exact number, but it's probably half of what of this next increase, because most of the following year is basically selling the transportation expenditure plan at that point. We wind up being in the latter part of your adoption of a plan and then putting it on the ballot and educating the public about it. So the following year, but there is going to be another year if we go march towards the ballot.
Any
I guess Commissioners, my add-on on that is we were estimating to the end of the calendar year. We were told to do it to the end of the fiscal year, which we've done. this is federal money, and so there are rules associated with extensions of contracts that we're following. So we're auditing ourselves. Have you written the public interest findings? So that the term is PIF, but public interest finding, the reasons why we're extending our contract with our consultant, because for these reasons, they have a long history of doing this for us. And so your question's a valid one. So it's the end of the fiscal year, and then if it fizzles out, the polling doesn't look good,
Right, no cost.
we don't need a budget.
Yeah. See, this is where the 10 to 70% would make sense. I'm actually just trying to
Well,
get
I'll throw 68% out there. How's that?
I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
what the bread box looks like. It's nothing more nefarious than that. So
We should've
what
gone
I
for
heard is it might be 2.5 million all in, plus or minus, depending on what other services we might want. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll
Okay,
give you
10 to
11%. How's
70%
that?
of 1.8. All right. We know it's cost, 2014, 2015. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstain. Item 10, same show. Martin Engelman. 10-1, 10-2, do you want them separate?
No, Mr. Chairman, you can certainly take these together. These are other amendments to agreements with consultants who are helping us with the countywide transportation plan, increasing Diet Bhatia's contract from $400,000 to $600,000, and this would get us through to the final plan and through the next fiscal year, and then amending the DKS Associates agreement for action plans by $200,000, increasing the total agreement amount from $600,000 to $800,000, which will also get us to the point where we have finalized action plans. Keep in mind that the work on these projects would be done on a task order basis, and we would be billed for time and materials, and so we've left enough cushion there so that we can get the job done. We might spend less than this.
Okay, it's a budget item. Mr. Durant?
I'm a simple man. So, same question. Do we think this does it, or do we? I mean, it looks like it from what you said and what the schedule looks like, but
Yeah, these are CTP related and more CTP related than TEP related. So yeah, this is it for 10-1 and 10-2.
good deal. I'll move approval because Karen told me to.
Motion. Gee. Motion Durant, second Romick. Comment. I think the same, Karen wasn't going to say this much, is one of the things we get nailed for a lot is when these things only go up. And having three on, so if one can go on consent or something, however, the point is it's a big concern when these things keep going up. What we tend to forget is like when we were at the ad hoc committees, we asked you to jump through more hoops. And that might have a little bit more consequences for us, dollars and anything. But, yeah, when I saw that too, I can't believe we got this far without you bringing that up, that I had to bring it up, that these increases start and then we start reading about them. But I too have enough faith that it's a budget item. They don't earn it, they're not going to get it. And that's all it is. And so be it. All those
I actually don't have a concern about these two. I didn't have a concern about that one because the increase here is not that big. And do we have to have all budget items as voting items, or can they all go on consent?
okay.
Then that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I would too. But I would just caution you, I sat next to Tom Bates when he said it's only 60 million or only 6. And I thought the Tea Party was going to go nuts.
Mr.
All
Chairman?
those, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification. The budget was approved in June. This is not a budget item. These are contract amendments with
Okay.
consultants.
Okay. Yeah,
But they're within the
Yeah.
the adopted budget.
That's right. They're within the adopted budget, so normally you wouldn't have to have them come forward other than as consent item. We're just checking the box saying, yep, we get it, money's going up, but it's still within budget.
that's my personal feeling, yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Somebody can pull it if they want to, and they can talk to Kevin. But as far as I'm concerned, no, we beat this thing to death, and frankly, we know we've been using them forever. Anyway, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, hearing none. You got all that? I didn't. Okay. We're on to 10-2. Keep on rolling, Martin.
Okay, I think you did 10-2.
Move. Yeah, we just did 10-1 and 2 together.
Okay, then we are on to the important stuff of the night. Other business. I just wanted to my own personal one to get you started. I just noticed that at the ad hoc committee and again tonight, we seem to be adding a lot of outreach, and we even jumped into August. It might be beneficial at the big meeting just to update the members of how many things we stuck into August and September that are outreach meetings, et cetera. I mean, we kind of get it with the charts and everything you're doing, but it seemed like we spent a lot of time on that at that ad hoc, you know what I'm saying? Because I was worried, and I hope I'm the only one, did I vote two different ways? Once in a committee and a different way at the big meeting, because we've changed things a lot on you. Anyway, just an observation. Anyone else under other business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go.
Regarding the September meeting,
Yes.
our next meeting
Let's get to
is
that.
on September 3rd.
Yep.
And that is apparently in conflict with League of Cities.
Yes.
So we need to hear from you. Do you wish for us to contact your alternates?
First, you have to go in proper order. Are there any news clippings or correspondences? Janet and I will not be here for the 3rd. I was going to ask if Mike Metcalf was coming tomorrow, if he wasn't. But Kevin will be here. David will be here. So you have a quorum. That should be good. We will take care of our alternates because we got a funny thing at La Miranda. I'll check with Metcalf. If Metcalf can't be here, which is the order, it's Tatson. Okay. So Janet has problems on hers altogether. No, just okay. Good. No problem. Comment?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, for the good of the order, that I will not be at the authority meeting on July 16, so I'm going to have my alternate attempt to make it.
Boy, that really is for the good. No. Anyway, we are adjourned to September 3rd, where at least 3 people here tonight and 1 other will be here. Good night.